I was standing at gate 47, boarding pass in hand, when my son-in-law decided I wasn't allowed on the plane. Not in private. Not with a phone call. Right there in front of the gate agent, the other passengers, strangers with their coffee and neck pillows. He stepped between me and the line like I was a child wandering off at the mall. "She's not coming with us." I blinked, waited for someone to laugh, waited for my daughter to say something. Anything. She didn't. "Mom's?" "Confused," he said, lowering his voice just enough to sound concerned. "It's better this way. She'll be more comfortable at home." Comfortable. That word stuck in my throat like a stone. I looked at my daughter. She wouldn't meet my eyes. Just adjusted her purse strap and stared at the ground like she was studying the pattern in the carpet. The gate agent gave me that look. You know the one? The soft, pitying smile people give when they think you don't understand what's happening? When they think you're too old to follow along? "Ma'am, is there someone we can call for you?" I wanted to scream. I wanted to pull out my wallet and shove the credit card in her face, the one that paid for every ticket, every hotel room, every overpriced resort dinner they were about to eat. I wanted to say, "I'm not confused. I'm being humiliated." But I didn't. Because the thing about being dismissed like that, in public, with people watching, you can either make a scene and prove them right, or you can stay quiet and let them think they've won. I stayed quiet. I took one step back, then another. My hand tightened around the handle of my suitcase. My son-in-law was already turning away, ushering my daughter and the grandkids toward the jetway. No one looked back. Not once. And that's when my phone buzzed. Email notification. Reservation confirmation. Patricia Holden, primary cardholder. I stared at the screen. Read it twice. Then I looked up at the departures board, at gate 47, at the little cluster of my family disappearing down the ramp. They thought I didn't understand. They thought I'd go home, maybe cry a little, maybe forget. I walked to the customer service desk like I was just checking on a detail. Something small. The kind of thing an old woman might get confused about. "Excuse me," I said, voice calm. "I need to review my booking." The woman behind the counter pulled up my name. Saw the charges, saw my card, saw the whole trip, flights, hotel, transfers, excursions, all under my account. "Is there a problem, Mrs. Holden?" I looked back at gate 47. The door was closing now. They were gone. "No," I said. "No problem. I just need to make a few changes." And right then, standing there with my purse still on my shoulder and my suitcase by my feet, I made a choice. I wasn't going to yell. Wasn't going to beg. Wasn't going to call them and ask why. I was going to let them fly. And when they landed, when they walked into that resort lobby with their sunglasses and their excitement and their assumptions about what I did or didn't understand, they were going to find out exactly how much I knew. Because the person holding the receipts? That was me. And I wasn't confused at all. The woman at the customer service desk had that tone. You know, the one, bright, patient, like she was talking to someone who might wander off mid-sentence. "Mrs. Holden, are you sure you're the primary account holder?" Sometimes family members book under one name, but I pulled out my phone, opened my banking app, turned the screen toward her. There it was. Every charge. Flights, $3,847. Hotel, $2,200. Resort package, $1,650. All of it, my card, my name, my money. She stopped mid-sentence, adjusted her glasses, looked at the screen, then at me, then back at the screen. "Oh," she said quietly, "I see." I didn't gloat. Didn't say I told you so. I just waited. She pulled up the reservation details, and for the first time all day, someone spoke to me like I had a brain. "So these bookings are all flexible, right?" she explained, clicking through screens. "That means you can cancel up until 24 hours before check-in. After that, you'd lose the deposit. But right now, she paused. Right now, you're still within the window. I let that settle. 24 hours. I nodded slowly, like I was just absorbing information. And if I did cancel, would they know right away? Depends, she said. Hotel would send a confirmation email. Airlines usually process it within the hour. But if no one's checking their email, she gave me a look, not judgmental, just aware. I asked her to print everything. Receipts, terms and conditions, cancellation policies. She handed me a thick stack of paper, all stapled neatly, and I folded it into my purse like it was something precious. Thank you, I said. Of course, Mrs. Holden. She hesitated. Are you okay? I almost laughed. Was I okay? I'd just been told I was too confused to travel on a trip I paid for while my own daughter stood there silent. I'm fine, I said. And I meant it. I walked back through the terminal, past the coffee kiosks and the duty-free shops, and found a quiet bench near the windows. My phone buzzed. Text from my daughter. Mom, it's better this way. You'll be more comfortable at home. Get some rest. More comfortable. There it was again. That word? Like I was fragile. Like I needed to be managed. I stared at the message. Didn't reply. Another buzz. This time, a voicemail notification. I pressed play. My son-in-law's voice, casual, talking to someone in the background. Probably my daughter. She won't even notice. She gets confused about this stuff anyway. The words landed like a slap. She won't even notice. I sat there, holding the phone, feeling something cold and clear settle in my chest. This wasn't new. This wasn't the first time they'd assumed I didn't understand. The first time they'd made a decision for me instead of with me. How many times had I let it slide? How many times had I smiled and nodded because it was easier than pushing back? I thought about last Christmas, when they rearranged my living room furniture to make it safer without asking. I thought about the time my son-in-law canceled my newspaper subscription because you don't read it anymore. Patricia, even though I read it every morning, I thought about all the small ways I'd been erased. And now this. I opened my email, scrolled to the reservation confirmations, read through the cancellation policies one more time. Everything was still in my name. Everything was still under my control. They didn't know that yet, but they would. I stood up, smoothed my jacket, and walked toward the exit. I wasn't angry. I wasn't even hurt anymore. I was decided. And the question that stayed with me, all the way to the parking lot, all the way home, was this. How long would it take them to realize that the person they'd just humiliated was the only one who could pull the plug on their dream vacation? And what would they do when they found out? I sat in my living room that night, curtains drawn, house silent except for the hum of the refrigerator. My suitcase was still by the door. I hadn't unpacked it. Couldn't bring myself to. I called the bank. The automated voice asked me to select a reason for my call. I pressed 0 until a real person picked up. First National. This is Derek speaking. How can I help you today? Hi Derek. I need to review some recent charges on my account. He pulled up my information. I could hear him typing. Okay, Mrs. Holden. I'm seeing several large transactions from the past week. Airline, hotel, tour operator. Are these charges familiar to you? They are, I said. I made them. Great. And is there? He paused. I'm sorry, I have to ask this as part of our fraud protection. Is anyone else authorized to make decisions about these charges? A family member, maybe? The question hit me harder than it should have. No, I said. My voice came out sharper than I meant. Why would you ask that? Just standard protocol, ma'am? Sometimes we get calls where a family member has made travel arrangements and the cardholder isn't fully aware of the details. We want to make sure you're comfortable with everything. Comfortable. That word again? I'm completely aware, I said. And I'm the only one authorized to make changes. Understood? So if someone else were to call and try to modify or cancel these bookings, they couldn't. Correct? Only you. I felt something shift. A tiny crack in the wall of helplessness I'd been carrying since the airport. Derek, can you send me a detailed breakdown of every charge? With timestamps and confirmation numbers? Absolutely. I'll email that to you right now. While I waited, I opened my text messages, scrolled back through the last few weeks, found one from my son-in-law, sent 3 days before the trip. Patricia, don't worry about any of the travel details. We've got it all handled. You just show up. Another one from 2 weeks ago. You sure you're up for this? It's a lot of walking. We don't want you to overdo it. And then the voice memo I'd saved from last month. My son-in-law laughing in the background of a family dinner I wasn't invited to. She doesn't even keep track of her own bills anymore. I had to explain her credit card statement to her twice last week. That wasn't true. I'd asked him one question about a charge I didn't recognize. He'd turned it into a whole narrative about my declining competence. The email from Derek came through. I opened it, scanned the list. Every single charge dated time-stamped, tied to my card. Proof that I wasn't confused. Proof that I knew exactly what I'd paid for. I opened the airline's website, logged into my account, pulled up the booking. Right there, at the top. Cancel reservation. One button. That's all it would take. I hovered my finger over the mouse. Didn't click. Not yet. I needed to think. Needed to be sure. I walked into the kitchen, made myself tea, and sat at the table with my laptop open and my phone beside me. Derek had mentioned the 24-hour window. I pulled up the hotel reservation. Same thing, cancelable until tomorrow at noon. It was 9 p.m. now. They'd landed 2 hours ago. Probably just getting to the hotel. Probably checking in, taking photos in the lobby, texting friends about their amazing family vacation. My finger tapped the edge of the mug. What would happen if I canceled everything right now? They'd arrive at the front desk tomorrow morning, ready to check in. The clerk would search for the reservation, wouldn't find it, would ask for a confirmation number. And then, confusion, panic, phone calls, accusations, and eventually they'd realize it was me. I thought about my daughter's face at the airport, the way she wouldn't look at me, the way she let her husband speak for me like I wasn't even there. I thought about the years of small dismissals, the "it's easier this way" mom conversations, the decisions made without me. I thought about my son-in-law's voice on that recording. She won't even notice. I picked up my phone, opened the hotel app, found the reservation. My hands were steady. I wasn't angry. I wasn't crying. I was just ... done. I clicked cancel booking. A confirmation screen appeared. Are you sure? I stared at it. One click, and the dream vacation they were so excited about, the one I'd paid for. The one they'd pushed me out of, would vanish. But was I really going to do this? Was I really going to let them arrive at that resort, suitcases in hand, only to find out there was nothing waiting for them? My thumb hovered over the screen. And then I thought about standing at gate 47, about the pity in the gate agent's eyes, about my own daughter turning away. I pressed confirm. The screen refreshed. Your reservation has been canceled. A confirmation email has been sent. I sat back in my chair, stared at the ceiling. What had I just done? And what would they do when they found out? I didn't sleep that night. I kept my phone on the nightstand, volume up, waiting for the calls to start. But nothing came. Just silence. At 6 a.m., I got up, made coffee, and sat at the kitchen table with my laptop open again. The airline reservation was still active. I pulled it up. Read through the cancellation terms one more time. Full refund if canceled before departure. Partial refund after. They were already there. The plane had landed. But the return flight SOs could still be canceled. I opened a new tab, logged into the resort booking site, found the excursion package snorkeling, sunset cruise, private beach cabana, all of it prepaid. All of it under my name. I clicked through to the customer service chat. A message popped up immediately. "Hi, I'm Rachel. How can I help you today?" I typed, "I need to cancel a resort package. Confirmation number 8847 Holden." The little typing bubble appeared, disappeared, appeared again. "I see that reservation. Can I ask who's requesting the cancellation?" "Patricia Holden. I'm the account holder." Another pause. "Okay, Mrs. Holden. I do see your name here. Just to confirm, did your son authorize this change?" I stared at the screen. "My son. I'm sorry, I see a note here that says reservations for this package should be confirmed with family members before any changes. It looks like it was added by, let me check, a Mr. Jason Reed. My son-in-law." He'd called ahead, put a note on the account, tried to lock me out of my own booking. I felt my jaw tighten. "Rachel, the credit card on file is mine. The confirmation email was sent to my email address. I am the primary account holder. Is that correct?" Another pause. "Yes, ma'am. That's correct. Then I don't need anyone's authorization. I'd like to cancel the entire package." Now, I could almost hear her hesitate through the screen. "Understood. Processing now?" A minute later, the confirmation came through. "Your resort package has been canceled. A full refund will be processed within 5 to 7 business days." I closed the laptop, picked up my phone, opened the airline app. The return flights were still there. 5 tickets. 5 seats I'd paid for. I selected them, one by one. "Cancel reservation." I clicked yes. "Are you sure?" "This action cannot be undone." I clicked confirm. The screen refreshed. "Reservation canceled. Confirmation email sent." I set the phone down, looked out the window. It was 6:45 a.m. here. That meant it was 8:45 a.m. where they were. They were probably awake by now, probably ordering breakfast, probably getting ready to head down to the front desk to pick up their resort wristbands. I imagined my son-in-law confident, laughing with the concierge. My daughter, relieved I wasn't there to slow them down. I imagined the exact moment the desk clerk would say, "I'm sorry, but I'm not seeing a reservation under that name." And I imagined the confusion, the scramble, the phone calls, the realization. I poured myself another cup of coffee, sat back down. My phone buzzed. Text from my daughter. "Mom, did you get an email from the hotel? Something's wrong with the reservation." I read it twice. Didn't respond. Another buzz. "Mom, please call me. They're saying you canceled it. That doesn't make sense." I set the phone face down on the table. It kept buzzing. Call after call. Text after text. I didn't pick up, because for the first time in years, I wasn't the one scrambling to fix someone else's problem. I wasn't the one being told I was confused. I was the one holding all the cards, and they were just starting to realize it. I thought about that moment at the airport, the way my son-in-law had looked at me like I was an inconvenience, a burden. I thought about my daughter's silence, and I thought about what it felt like to be dismissed, erased, told you don't understand your own life. I took a sip of coffee, let the phone buzz, and waited. Because the question now wasn't whether they'd figure out what I'd done. It was whether they'd ever understand why. The calls didn't stop. By 9 a.m., my phone had 16 missed calls, 12 text messages, 3 voicemails. I listened to the first one while I watered the plants on the windowsill. My daughter's voice, tight and anxious. "Mom, please pick up. The hotel is saying the reservation was canceled last night. They're saying it was done from your account. I don't understand. Did someone hack your email? Please call me back. I deleted it." The second voicemail was my son-in-law. Patricia, we're standing in the lobby right now, and they're telling us there's no room. No booking. Nothing. They said you canceled it. Last night. What the hell is going on? Call me. Now. His voice wasn't concerned. It was annoyed. Entitled. I deleted that one too. The third voicemail came in while I was rinsing my coffee mug. My daughter again. This time, her voice was breaking. Mom, we don't have a hotel. We don't have a car. They're saying the excursions were canceled too. Everything. Mom, what happened? Did you do this? I set the phone down. Stared at it. Did you do this? There it was. The question. Not are you okay? Not did something go wrong? Just the assumption that if something was broken, I must have broken it. By accident. By confusion. I picked up the phone. Opened the text thread. My daughter had sent a screenshot. It was an email from the hotel, timestamped 9:47 p.m. the night before. Dear Ms. Holden, your reservation has been successfully canceled as requested. A confirmation has been sent to the email address on file. Below the screenshot, she'd typed, Mom, this email has your name on it. Did you click something by mistake? Please tell me you didn't mean to do this. I read it 3 times. By mistake. Even now, even with the evidence right in front of her, she couldn't imagine I'd done it on purpose. I typed 1 sentence. I didn't make a mistake. Sent it. Put the phone in my purse. And left the house. I needed to get out. Needed air. Needed to not be sitting there, staring at a screen, while they unraveled 2,000 miles away. I drove to the park. The one near the river where I used to take my daughter when she was little. We'd feed the ducks. She'd run ahead on the path, pigtails bouncing, turning back every few steps to make sure I was still there. I wondered when she'd stopped looking back. I sat on a bench under the oak tree and watched a young mother push a stroller past. She was talking to the baby, singing something soft. My phone buzzed in my purse. I ignored it. It buzzed again. And again. I pulled it out. 17 new messages. I scrolled through them. Mom, please answer. We're trying to find another hotel, but everything's booked. The kids are upset. They don't understand what's happening. Jason is on the phone with the resort now. He's trying to fix this. Mom, this is serious. We need you to call the hotel and tell them it was a mistake. I stopped scrolling. Read that last one again. Tell them it was a mistake. They wanted me to fix it. To undo it. To call the hotel. Apologize. Say I didn't know what I was doing. To be confused. To be the problem. So they could be the victims. I thought about my son-in-law's voice on that recording. She won't even notice. I thought about standing at gate 47. About the pity. About the silence. I put the phone back in my purse. A new text came through. This time, from a number I didn't recognize. I opened it. Mrs. Holden, this is the concierge at the Sapphire Bay Resort. Your family has asked us to reach out. They're saying there's been a misunderstanding with the reservation. If you could please call us at your earliest convenience, we'd like to help sort this out. I stared at the message. They'd gotten the resort to contact me, to try to smooth things over, to get me to fold. I didn't respond. Instead, I opened my email, found the cancellation confirmations. Read through them one more time. Everything was legitimate. Everything was final. I wasn't confused. I wasn't mistaken. I was just done being treated like I was. Another text. My daughter. Mom, I know you're seeing these. Please, just tell me what happened. I don't understand. I typed back slowly. You didn't understand at the airport either. But you let him speak for me anyway. I hit send before I could second guess it. 3 dots appeared immediately. She was typing. Then they stopped. Started again. Stopped. No response came. I sat there on the bench, holding my phone, feeling the weight of what I'd just said. Because that was the truth, wasn't it? She'd let him humiliate me. She'd stood there, silent, while he told strangers I was too confused to travel. And now she wanted me to fix the mess that came from me refusing to be humiliated quietly. The phone buzzed one more time. My son-in-law, you need to grow up, Patricia. This is childish. You're punishing everyone because your feelings got hurt. Fix this. Now. I read it twice. Then I blocked his number. And I realized something. The humiliation had shifted. It wasn't mine anymore. It was theirs. I stayed at the park until the sun started to dip. When I got home, the voicemails had piled up. I didn't listen to them. I made myself dinner leftover chicken, rice, green beans, and ate slowly at the kitchen table. The house felt bigger without the noise. Without the expectation that I'd answer every time someone called. My phone buzzed once more. An email this time. From my daughter. The subject line read, "Please, Mom?" I opened it. "Mom, I don't know what to say. I don't know what happened or why you did this, but we're stuck here. We've spent hours on the phone trying to find a room, but everything's fully booked because of some conference. Jason finally found us small in 40 minutes from the beach. But it's costing us $400 a night and we can only stay 3 days instead of the week we planned. The kids keep asking why Grandma isn't here. I don't know what to tell them. I know you're upset. I know something happened at the airport. But this canceling everything, it's too much. We didn't mean to hurt you. Jason was just trying to make things easier. Please. Can you call the hotel and the airline? Tell them it was a mistake. Maybe they can reinstate the reservations. We can all talk when we get back. I love you. Sarah. I read it twice. Set the phone down. Stared at the ceiling. We didn't mean to hurt you. That line sat in my chest like a rock. They didn't mean to. They just did. And I was supposed to accept that. Supposed to swallow the humiliation because the intention wasn't malicious. But intent doesn't erase impact. I picked up the phone. Started typing a response. Deleted it. Typed again. Finally, I wrote, "Sarah, I didn't cancel the trip by mistake. I canceled it because I paid for it. 'Cause my name is on every receipt, every confirmation, every charge. And when Jason told me I couldn't come when, he said I was confused. When he treated me like I didn't know what was happening, he said nothing. You let him speak for me. You let him humiliate me. In public. I'm not asking you to fix this. I'm telling you, I'm done being managed." Mom, I hit send before I could stop myself. Then I attached every receipt, every confirmation email, every cancellation notice. Proof that I wasn't confused. Proof that I knew exactly what I'd done. I set the phone down and walked into the bedroom. Sat on the edge of the bed. My hands were shaking. Not from anger. From something deeper. Something I hadn't let myself feel in years. Relief. The next morning, I woke up to silence. No calls. No texts. I checked my phone. Nothing new since the email I'd sent the night before. I made coffee, sat in the living room, opened my laptop. There was one new email from my bank. "Dear Mrs. Holden, this is a courtesy notification. Regarding recent activity on your account ending in 4728. We noticed several high-value cancellations processed within a short time frame and wanted to confirm these actions were authorized by you. If you did not initiate these cancellations, please contact us immediately. Additionally, we flagged a recent inquiry made by a third party attempting to dispute charges on your account. Per your account settings, no changes can be made without your direct authorization. Please let us know if you'd like to discuss account security measures. Sincerely, First National Bank Fraud Prevention Team." I stared at the screen. A third party attempting to dispute charges. Jason. He'd tried to reverse the cancellations. Tried to claim I didn't have the authority. Tried to undo what I'd done. And the bank had stopped him. I called the number at the bottom of the email. A woman answered. Fraud prevention. This is Linda. Hi, Linda. This is Patricia Holden. I just received an email about activity on my account. Yes, Mrs. Holden. Thank you for calling. We wanted to make sure everything was legitimate. It was, I said. I canceled those reservations myself. Okay, good. And just to confirm, did you authorize anyone else to make changes or dispute charges on your account? No. Understood. We had a call yesterday from someone claiming to be your son-in-law. He said the cancellations were made in error and requested that we reverse them. We declined, but I wanted to make sure you were aware. I closed my eyes. Thank you for protecting my account, I said quietly. Of course. And Mrs. Holden, if you'd like, I can add a note to your file. It'll require verbal confirmation from you for any future changes, even if someone claims to be acting on your behalf. Yes, I said. Please do that. Done. Is there anything else I can help with today? I paused. Actually, yes. Can you send me a written summary of this? The inquiry, the declined request, everything. Absolutely. I'll email it to you within the hour. Thank you. I hung up. Sat there, staring at my phone. They'd tried to override me. Tried to undo my decision without asking. Without acknowledging what had happened. They still thought this was about confusion. About a mistake. Not about control. Not about respect. The email from Linda came through at 10:15 a.m. I printed it. Added it to the folder I'd started receipts. Confirmations, cancellations, now a bank record, everything documented, everything clear. My phone buzzed. Text from Sarah. Mom, Jason says you blocked him. Please don't do this. We need to talk. I didn't respond. Because the conversation I needed to have wasn't going to happen over text. It was going to happen when they got home. And when it did, I wouldn't be apologizing. I'd be setting boundaries. For the first time in years, they came home 3 days early. I didn't hear from them until the night before they landed. A short text from Sarah. We're flying back tomorrow. Can we come by the house? I didn't answer right away. Let the message sit there for a few hours while I made dinner, watched the news, watered the plants. Finally, I typed back. Yes, 2 p.m., that was it. No pleasantries, no safe travels. Just a time. She didn't respond. The next afternoon, I set out tea and cookies on the living room table. Not because I wanted to be welcoming, but because I wanted to show them I wasn't rattled, wasn't scrambling. I was ready. At 2:07, the doorbell rang. I opened the door. Sarah stood there, pale, eyes red like she'd been crying on the plane. Jason was behind her, arms crossed, jaw tight. Hi, Mom, Sarah said softly. Come in. They followed me to the living room. Sat on the couch. I took the armchair across from them. No one touched the tea. Jason spoke first. Patricia, I think we need to talk about what happened. I looked at him. Didn't blink. Go ahead. He shifted. Look, I know you're upset about the airport thing. But canceling the entire trip? That was he stopped. Searched for the word extreme. Extreme, I repeated. Yeah, I mean, we had the kids with us. They were looking forward to this. You didn't just punish me and Sarah, you punished them. I felt something cold settle in my chest. I didn't punish anyone, I said. I canceled a trip I paid for. A trip I was told I couldn't go on. Sarah leaned forward. Mom, Jason didn't mean it like that. He thought I was confused, I said, cutting her off. He said it at the gate, in front of strangers. He said I was confused and it was better if I stayed home. Jason exhaled sharply. I was trying to avoid a scene. You looked upset, and I looked upset because you were humiliating me. Silence. Sarah's hands twisted in her lap. Mom, we didn't mean for it to feel that way, but it did. I know, and I'm sorry. But what you did, it went too far. I picked up my purse from the side table. pulled out the folder, set it on the coffee table between us. "What's that?" Jason asked. "Receipts," I said. "Every charge for the trip. Every confirmation email. Every cancellation notice. And a letter from the bank confirming that someone," I looked directly at Jason, "tried to dispute my cancellations without my authorization." Jason's face went red. "I was trying to fix your mistake." "It wasn't a mistake. Then what was it?" His voice rose. "Revenge? You wanted to teach us a lesson." "I wanted," I said slowly, "to stop being treated like I don't know my own mind." Sarah's eyes filled with tears. "Mom, we don't think that." "Yes, you do." I pulled out another paper. The email from the resort. The one with the note Jason had added to my account. I slid it across the table. "You put a note on my reservation. You told them to check with you before I could make any changes. On my booking. With my money." Jason stared at the paper. Said nothing. "And last month," I continued, "you canceled my newspaper. You rearranged my furniture. You told people I can't keep track of my own bills. That's not it, it is." My voice was steady, calm. "You've been managing me for years. And I let you. Because I thought it was easier. Because I didn't want to cause problems." I leaned back in my chair. "But at that airport, when you told me I couldn't come, when you said I was confused, when you made me feel small in front of strangers, something changed." Sarah wiped her eyes. "I should have said something. I know I should have. You just let him speak for me." She nodded. Didn't deny it. Jason stood up. "Okay, fine. I screwed up. I shouldn't have said you were confused. But you still overreacted. You cost us thousands of dollars. You ruined the trip." "I canceled a trip I paid for," I said again. "That's not overreacting. That's exercising my rights." He stared at me. "This is insane. You're acting like we're the enemy. You're acting like I'm incompetent." "Because you are." He threw his hands up. "You're 73 years old, Patricia. You forget things. You get overwhelmed. We're trying to help." I stood. "Get out." Sarah's head snapped up. "Mom," I said, "get out." Jason's face twisted. "You can't be serious." "I'm completely serious." I walked to the door, opened it. Jason grabbed his coat, muttered something under his breath, stormed out. Sarah stood slowly. Her face was pale. "Mom, please. Don't do this." "I'm not doing anything," I said quietly. "I'm just done pretending it's okay to be dismissed." She stood there, tears streaming down her face. "I love you," she whispered. "I love you too," I said. "But love doesn't mean letting you erase me." She walked past me, stopped on the porch. "What happens now?" I looked at her. "Now," I said, "you decide if you want a relationship where I'm treated like an equal, or if you want one where I'm managed." She didn't answer. I closed the door. And for the first time in years, I felt like I could breathe. The phone didn't ring for a week. No calls, no texts, nothing. I kept my routine, watered the plants, made my coffee, read the newspaper, the one I'd resubscribed to myself. On the 8th day, I got a letter in the mail. Not from Sarah. From the HOA. I opened it, standing at the kitchen counter. "Dear Mrs. Holden, we've received a concern from a family member regarding your well-being. They've expressed worry that you may be experiencing confusion or difficulty managing household decisions. While we take all concerns seriously, we want to ensure you have the support you need. If you'd like to discuss resources for senior assistance or have any questions about community services, please don't hesitate to reach out. Sincerely, Riverside HOA Board." I read it 3 times. A concern from a family member. They'd reported me. To the HOA tried to make it look like I was losing my faculties. I set the letter down, picked up my phone, called the number at the bottom of the page. A woman answered. "Riverside HOA. This is Monica. Hi, Monica. This is Patricia Holden. I just received a letter. Oh, yes, Mrs. Holden. We wanted to reach out and make sure everything's okay. Everything's fine, I said. But I'd like to know what specific concern was raised. She hesitated. Well, the family member mentioned that you recently made some financial decisions that seemed out of character. They were worried you might need help. Out of character, I repeated. Did they mention what those decisions were? They said you canceled a family vacation unexpectedly, and that you've been difficult to reach. I took a breath. Monica, the vacation was paid for with my credit card. I'm the account holder. I canceled it because I was uninvited from the trip at the airport. In public. Everything I did was within my legal rights. Silence on the other end. I see, she said quietly. And I'd like to know, does the HOA typically get involved in private family disputes? No, ma'am, we don't. But when someone raises a concern about a resident's well-being, we're obligated to follow up. I understand, and I appreciate the concern. But I'm not confused. I'm not in need of assistance. I'm fully capable of managing my own affairs. Okay? I'll make a note of that. Thank you. I hung up, stared at the letter. They were trying to control the narrative, trying to paint me as unstable, as someone who needed intervention. And if the HOA believed it, who else would they tell? I sat down, pulled out my folder, added the HOA letter to the stack. Then I made a call to the attorney my friend Margaret had recommended months ago, the one I'd kept just in case. A man answered. Law offices of Bennett and Cross. Hi, I'd like to schedule a consultation. My name is Patricia Holden. Of course. What's the nature of your concern? I paused. Family law, I said. And elder rights. We can help with that. Does tomorrow at 10 a.m. work? Yes. Perfect. We'll see you then, Mrs. Holden. I hung up, looked at the folder on the table, at the receipts, the emails, the bank letter, the HOA complaint. I wasn't imagining this. I wasn't overreacting. I was being systematically discredited, and I needed to protect myself. The next morning, I drove to the law office, a small brick building downtown, next to the coffee shop where I used to meet Margaret for lunch. The attorney, Mr. Bennett, was younger than I expected, maybe 50. Sharp suit, kind eyes. He shook my hand. Mrs. Holden, please, sit. I sat, placed the folder on his desk. I need advice, I said. My son-in-law and my daughter are trying to make it look like I'm incompetent, and I need to know how to protect myself. He opened the folder, started reading, didn't say anything for a long time. Finally, he looked up. Mrs. Holden, this is concerning, but it's also very well documented. Is that good? Yes. It means you've been proactive. You have proof of financial competence, proof of decision-making capacity, and proof that you've been acting within your rights. He flipped to the HOA letter. This, however, is a red flag. If they're trying to establish a pattern of confusion or incapacity, they may be building a case for something more serious. My stomach dropped. Like what? Conservatorship, guardianship, legal control over your finances and medical decisions? I felt the air leave the room. They can do that. They can try. Especially if they can convince a court that you're not capable of managing your own affairs. But I am capable. I know that. And the evidence supports it. But the fact that they've already involved a third party, the HOA suggests they're testing the waters. He leaned back in his chair. My advice? Get ahead of this. We can draft a letter on your behalf. Make it clear that you're of sound mind, that you've consulted legal counsel, and that any further attempts to undermine your autonomy will be met with legal action. Will that stop them? It'll make them think twice. I nodded slowly. Do it. He pulled out a legal pad, started writing. One more thing, he said. You should consider updating your estate documents. Power of attorney, healthcare directive, will. Make sure everything is current and reflects your wishes, not someone else's assumptions. I will. He handed me a card. Call my office next week. We'll have the letter ready to send. I stood, shook his hand. Thank you, Mrs. Holden, he said. You're doing the right thing. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. I walked out of that office feeling something I hadn't felt in months. Clarity. Because this wasn't just about a canceled vacation anymore. This was about control. And I wasn't going to give it up. Not to them. Not to anyone. When I got home, there was a car in my driveway. Sarah's. She was sitting on the porch steps, arms wrapped around her knees. I parked, got out. Hi, Mom, she said quietly. Hi. Can we talk? I looked at her, at the exhaustion in her face. The way she wouldn't meet my eyes. Did you file a complaint with the HOA? I asked. She froze. Jason did, she said. I didn't know until after. Did you stop him? She didn't answer. I walked past her, unlocked the door. Mom, please. I turned. If you want to talk, I said, we're doing it at my attorney's office. Not here. Her face went pale. Your attorney? Yes. Mom, you don't need I do, I said. Because this isn't about hurt feelings anymore. This is about my rights. And I'm protecting them. I stepped inside, closed the door, and this time, I didn't look back. The meeting was set for Thursday at 2 p.m. Sarah called the night before. Her voice was small. Do I really need to come to a lawyer's office, Mom? Yes. This feels so formal. It is formal, I said, because what you and Jason did was serious. Silence on the line. Okay, she finally said. I'll be there. When I arrived at Mr. Bennett's office, Sarah was already in the waiting room. She looked tired, older than I remembered. Jason wasn't with her. Where's your husband? I asked. He said he didn't see the point. Of course he did. Mr. Bennett opened the door to the conference room. Mrs. Holden, Ms. Reed, please, come in. We sat on opposite sides of the table. Mr. Bennett sat at the head, a file folder in front of him. Thank you both for coming, he said. I want to keep this straightforward. Mrs. Holden has asked me to mediate this conversation because recent events have raised concerns about her autonomy and legal rights. Sarah shifted in her chair. I don't want to fight with my mom. Then don't, I said. She looked at me. Her eyes filled with tears. Mom, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I should have stood up for you at the airport. I should have told Jason to stop. Her voice broke. I froze. You did more than freeze, I said quietly. You let him speak for me. You let him humiliate me. And then, when I responded, you tried to make me look incompetent. I didn't. I slid a paper across the table. The HOA letter. She stared at it. Jason filed that, she said. Not me. But you knew about it. She hesitated. Not until after. Did you tell him to retract it? Silence. Sarah, answer me. No, she whispered. I didn't. Mr. Bennett cleared his throat. Ms. Reed, I want to make something very clear. What your husband did filing a complaint suggesting your mother is mentally incompetent could be the first step in pursuing guardianship or conservatorship. If successful, that would strip her of legal control over her finances, medical decisions, and living arrangements. Sarah's face went white. We weren't trying to do that. Intent doesn't matter, he said. Actions do. And the actions taken suggest a pattern of undermining Mrs. Holden's capacity. He opened the folder, pulled out a document. This is a letter I've drafted on Mrs. Holden's behalf. It will be sent to your husband, the HOA, and anyone else who has questioned her competence. It states clearly that she is of sound mind, that she has retained legal counsel, and that any further attempts to misrepresent her mental state will result in legal action. Sarah looked at me. Mom, you don't have to do this. Yes, I do. Please. We can fix this. As a family, I leaned forward. Sarah, when you stood at that gate and said nothing while your husband told strangers I was confused, you broke something. Tears streamed down her face. When you let him put a note on my hotel reservation on my credit card, you broke something. I know when you let him file a complaint with the HOA, you didn't just break trust. You tried to take my power. I didn't mean to, but you did. I pushed the letter toward her. Read it. She picked it up. Her hands were shaking. Her eyes moved over the words. Legal terms. Formal language. A line at the bottom that said any further claims of incompetence would be considered defamation. She set the letter down. What do you want from me? She whispered. I want you to acknowledge what happened. I want you to tell Jason that this stops now. And I want you to understand that I am not someone who needs to be managed. She nodded, wiped her eyes. I'll tell him. And if he doesn't stop, she looked at me. Really looked at me. Then I'll leave him. The room went silent. Mr. Bennett glanced at me. I gave a small nod. Ms. Reed, he said gently, your mother isn't trying to punish you. She's trying to protect herself, and she has every right to do that. Sarah's shoulders shook. She put her face in her hands. I'm so sorry, Mom. I'm so sorry. I reached across the table, touched her hand. I know. She looked up. Her face was blotchy, red, broken. Can you forgive me? I took a breath. I can forgive you, I said. But things can't go back to how they were. I don't want them to. Then we start over. With boundaries, with respect. And if Jason can't do that, then he doesn't get access to you, she finished. I nodded. Mr. Bennett stood. I'll give you two a moment. He left the room. Sarah and I sat there, hands still touching across the table. I love you, Mom, she said. I love you too. But you're not going to let this go, are you? No. She nodded slowly. Good, she said. You shouldn't? We sat there for a long time. And when we finally stood to leave, something had shifted. Not forgiveness, exactly. But the beginning of something honest. Something real. For the first time in years, the letter went out the next week. Mr. Bennett sent copies to Jason, the HOA, and at my request to the bank, with instructions to flag my account for any suspicious activity. Jason didn't respond. But the HOA did. A formal apology. A retraction of the concern. A note in my file that I was of sound mind and managing my affairs independently. I kept the letter in my folder. Just in case. Sarah came by the following Sunday. Alone. She brought coffee. The kind I like, from the place near the park. We sat on the porch. Didn't talk much. Just watched the neighbors walk their dogs. Jason's moving out, she said after a while. I looked at her. Temporarily, she added. We're doing counseling. But I told him if he can't respect you, we're done. And he's trying. She paused. I think he's finally starting to understand. I didn't say anything. She took a sip of coffee. I'm ashamed, Mom, of how long I let this go on. Of how many times I should have said something and didn't. I know. I got so used to him making decisions. It was easier. And I didn't realize I was letting him do it to you too. I set my cup down. Sarah, I let it happen. For years. Because I didn't want to rock the boat. I didn't want to be difficult. You're not difficult. I know that now. She looked at me. What changed? I thought about it. I got tired of being small, I said. Tired of being managed. Tired of pretending it didn't hurt. She nodded, wiped her eyes. I'm going to do better. I know. We sat there until the sun started to set. Before she left, she hugged me. Tight. The way she used to when she was little. I'm proud of you, Mom, she whispered. For what? For not letting us get away with it. I watched her drive away, and for the first time in a long time, I felt whole. A month later, I booked a trip. Just me. A small bed and breakfast in Vermont. Fall foliage. Quiet mornings. I didn't ask anyone's permission. I didn't tell anyone until the day before I left. Sarah texted back immediately. That sounds perfect, Mom. Have the best time. I did. I walked through covered bridges, drank cider at a local orchard, read on the porch in the mornings, and I didn't think about the airport. Didn't think about the hotel lobby where they'd stood, confused and angry, realizing I'd taken back control. I just thought about how good it felt to be seen, to be respected, to be me. When I got home, there was a card on my doorstep from Sarah. Inside, she'd written, Mom, thank you for teaching me what boundaries look like. I love you. I put the card on the fridge, and I smiled. Because this wasn't about revenge. It was never about revenge. It was about dignity, about refusing to be erased, about proving that justice doesn't always look like anger. Sometimes it looks like a calm voice at an airport counter. Sometimes it looks like canceled reservations and printed receipts. Sometimes it looks like an old woman who kept every document, hired a lawyer, and refused to apologize for knowing her own worth. I sat down at the kitchen table that night, opened my laptop, and I started writing. Not for them, for me, for anyone who's ever been told they're too old to understand, too fragile to decide, too confused to matter. I wrote about the gate, about the silence, about the moment I chose not to scream but to act, and I wrote about what happened after. Because sometimes the best revenge isn't loud, it's quiet. It's standing your ground when everyone expects you to fold. It's staying calm when they want you flustered. It's keeping the receipts. Tell me in the comments where you're watching from. And if you've ever had to fight to be heard in your own life, see you. You're not confused. You're not too much. You're enough. And you deserve to be treated that way.